April 5, 2008. Saturday, Yangqing High School, Senior Class 3. Fang Ping spent half an hour finally confirming one thing: this was not a dream, nor was it a movie set. Of course, it couldn't be. No movie could make his classmates revert to their youthful selves. If it could, that production team would be reaching for the stars. Once he had accepted the fact of his rebirth, Fang Ping was slightly perturbed for a moment, but then calmly accepted it as a youth of the new century, who hadn't had some experience with rebirth. Even if he hadn't personally experienced it, there was plenty of material online. Just reading about it, he knew this was the ultimate weapon for the poor and weak to counterattack the rich and handsome. Besides, he had neither money nor girlfriends. If he didn't do anything after being reborn, he would still live longer, and it would never be a loss that he barely made it to the end of the class bell. The familiar yet somewhat unfamiliar teacher left reluctantly after dragging on the lesson for several minutes. As for the last sentence the teacher said before leaving, Fang Ping chose to ignore it. Registration for the martial arts class will start next week. Those interested should prepare. Fang Ping didn't take it seriously. He misheard it as arts registration. The college entrance examination always required early registration, but it was usually handled by the school, so there was no need for a reminder. Most importantly, Senior Class 3 was a science class. What did it have to do with arts? But with the matter of rebirth at hand, Fang Ping didn't care about these trivial issues. At this moment, Fang Ping was thinking about punching Jack Ma and kicking Ma Huateng. Although the timing in 2008 was a bit late, a reborn person must do something unexpected, right? Or, instead of going into business, should he go into politics? Fang Ping was silently calculating in his heart. Without any interest in chatting with his classmates, these young people couldn't imagine the grand goals in his mind. From today onwards, they were no longer in the same world. Just as Fang Ping was building upon his future plans, a student named Yang Jian, who sat in the row in front of him and was tall and sturdy, suddenly turned his head and asked, "Fang Ping, Chen Fan, are you guys going to register?" Fang Ping had a deep impression of Yang Jian, not because Yang Jian was extraordinarily handsome. The key was that after graduating from university, when Fang Ping attended a high school reunion, Yang Jian, who had just graduated, had grown a full beard, which almost made Fang Ping think that Yang Jian's father had also come to the reunion. Since then, Fang Ping had never forgotten this bearded classmate. His distinctive feature was too obvious. Preoccupied with his thoughts, Fang Ping didn't respond immediately. Fang Ping's desk mate, Chen Fan, who was jokingly referred to as the ordinary duo by the class, shook his head and said, "I won't register. It's a waste of money. Registration alone costs 10,000. I'm sure I won't be accepted. With that much money, it's almost enough to cover a year's living and tuition expenses in college." Yang Jian sighed somewhat regretfully. "True, but I can't help feeling a bit regretful. I'm afraid I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I don't try." Yang Jian's deskmate, another boy whose name Fang Ping couldn't quite remember, also joined in the discussion with a gloomy face, saying, "This is our only chance to leap over the Dragon Gate. It's a pity, but it has nothing to do with us." The three sighed and expressed their regrets, leaving Fang Ping confused and bewildered. Registration? Was it about the arts registration the teacher mentioned earlier? The registration fee is 10,000. This was 2008, and if he remembered correctly, the price of a house in Yangqing was only around 4,000 per square meter. Why was the examination registration fee so high? Did these guys get it wrong, or were they being scammed? Just as Fang Ping was about to ask, Chen Fan adjusted his glasses with a determined look on his face and said, "Even if we don't take the martial arts exam and choose the arts, it doesn't mean we'll never be able to make a name for ourselves in life. There are martial arts training classes in society. After we graduate and earn money, we can also continue our studies. Even if we can't compare to martial arts students, at least there's still hope." As soon as these words came out, Yang Jian's deskmate also said with excitement, "That's right, if we get into a prestigious art school, our salary and benefits won't be low after graduation. I still want to try." Yang Jian hesitated. His family was relatively well off, and he was physically strong. He felt unwilling to give up without trying. Neither Chen Fan nor the other boy tried to stop Yang Jian from trying. Although the chances were slim, the opportunity was right in front of them, and some people were simply unwilling to give up. Even though they were still young, they understood that if they discouraged Yang Jian now and caused him to miss the opportunity, it would lead to a major grudge. While the three were discussing fervently, Fang Ping was completely baffled. What was going on? He swallowed, glanced at the three for a moment, and didn't see any signs of joking or teasing. It was then that Fang Ping finally realized something was amiss. Just as he was about to speak, he was once again interrupted. Next to Fang Ping's desk, there were two boys whispering to each other. It seemed they felt the discussion was not lively enough with fewer people. When Fang Ping and the others quieted down, one of the boys with a buzz cut became excited and said triumphantly, "Yang Jian, Chen Fan, did you guys watch the news online last night?" Yang Jian and the others shook their heads. The college entrance examination was imminent, and they were being strictly monitored at home. They didn't have time to go online, seeing that they were unaware, and Fang Ping and the other boy were also clueless. The buzz-cut boy, Zhang Hao, immediately laughed. "That's too bad, there was big news last night. Do you guys know? Master Ma has broken through to the 8th rank. Master Ma is not even 40 this year, and he is already the top martial arts master among the younger generation. Yesterday, Penguin Group officially issued a challenge to Google's Asia-Pacific CEO, the veteran 8th rank master, Tim. What? Is it true or false? Has Master Ma broken through to the 8th rank? Didn't he just break through to the 7th rank a few years ago? I can't believe it. Zhang Hao, tell us, is it a public challenge or a private one? I really want to see the battle of the 8th rank, but unfortunately, we don't qualify to watch. There weren't many senior 3 students who went online after school as the college entrance examination was nearing, so not many people in the class knew about the news that broke out last night, even though it had caused quite a stir. Zhang Hao spoke rather loudly just now, after he finished speaking, before Fang Ping and the others could respond. The nearby students who had heard him became excited, and Zhang Hao was reveling in the attention, his face full of joy as he said, "It's true, Master Ma really did break through, and not just us. Who in the world would dare to believe he would break through to the 8th rank so quickly?" So when the challenge was issued, the whole world was shocked. As long as Master Ma defeats Tim this time, Penguin Group can make a big move into various Asian countries and become one of the dominant groups in Asia. In a few years, once Master Ma breaks through to the 9th rank, Penguin Group could become one of the dominant groups in the world. God, that's too fast. 8th rank master level. Has the master list been updated? Master Ma is going to break into the top 30. Go away, top 30, I say, top 20 is no problem. No way, Master Ma just broke through, how can he rise to the top 20 so fast, unless there's a chance after he defeats Tim. At this point, the students were all talking to themselves, with excitement, admiration, agitation, and longing in their eyes. Even the girls were no exception, the entire class, except for Fang Ping. At this moment, Fang Ping was dazed, his mind was muddled, his face was blank, and he was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? He understood every word everyone was saying, and he would definitely recognize each word if it were written down, but why couldn't he understand when they were strung together? Who was Master Ma? He certainly knew about Penguin Group. By 2008, Penguin Group was already a dominant force in the IT industry. He also knew about Google. It would be strange if he didn't. Was Zhang Hao implying that Penguin and Google were business competitors just now? But why? Why did it feel so out of place? Fang Ping swallowed again, feeling his lips were extremely dry. This script seemed a bit off. In the classroom, Fang Ping was utterly confused, his heart filled with anxiety. After everyone had finished their discussions, Fang Ping nudged Chen Fan, who was sitting next to him, and whispered, "Ma. Master Ma, is it Ma Huateng?" Chen Fan's face changed instantly, becoming serious, and he said sternly, "Fang Ping, calling the master by his name directly is the greatest disrespect." Fang Ping, at this moment, Fang Ping felt like crying. Good lord, he couldn't even mention the name anymore. The imposing manner of Little Ma was even more terrifying than the president. However, Fang Ping also confirmed one thing: the CEO of Tencent is still Little Ma. The company was right, and the CEO was right. The only thing that was wrong was the martial arts master that everyone was talking about. He always felt that there was something strange, abruptly mixed in, making Fang Ping feel like a fish bone stuck in his throat. Suppressing the desire to retort, Fang Ping casually said, "I have been busy preparing for the college entrance examination recently, and I haven't watched any news. Can you tell me about any interesting events?" Chen Fan casually said, "It's still the same old things, except that Master Ma has broken through to the 8th rank, which is somewhat unexpected." Chen Fan is not too fond of gossip, but Yang Jian, the future bearded man in the front row, is quite talkative. This time, the bell for the start of class hadn't rung yet, and Yang Jian heard Fang Ping's question and turned his head to whisper, "There are not many confirmed big news, but I saw some gossip news a few days ago. I know a little bit of insider information, but I'm not sure if it's accurate. It is said that Master Ma of Tencent may have broken through to the 7th rank recently and is listed as a master. Master Li of Baidu seems to be preparing to retreat and break through to the 8th realm. The time when Master Li broke through to the 7th realm is not much different from that of Master Ma of Tencent. However, Master Li's martial arts progress has not been as fast as Master Ma's in recent years. Whether he can break through is not easy to say. By the way, there's another news. Our governor of Nanjiang province is likely to break through to the 7th rank in the near future. Once Governor Zhang breaks through to the 7th rank, it will be extraordinary. Our Nanjiang has been weak for many years, and now there are only a few old 7th rank masters sitting in one place. Governor Zhang is not old and has the potential to further progress, which could sweep away the chronic weakness of Nanjiang's martial arts. Also, before this year's martial arts college entrance examination, our school seems to have invited a senior who was admitted to Nanjiang Martial Arts University last year to give us a lecture. Yang Jian was talking endlessly about gossip, but Fang Ping felt like he was listening to a heavenly book. The gossip news that Yang Jian said, most of it is Related to warriors, someone might be about to break through, someone is in retreat. Among these people, Fang Ping has heard of some names, not limited to the business world, including the entertainment industry, and even the political world. From some casual words of Yang Jian, Fang Ping can feel that the status of warriors in this society is very respected. Those below the 7th rank are called masters by Yang Jian, and those above the 7th rank are called masters. Another point can also be seen that all the famous people seem to be strong in martial arts. Or in other words, if you are not strong, you can't become famous. During the period, Fang Ping casually asked how strong these people were. As a result, Yang Jian came unceremoniously. Any warrior can beat us into a sieve. When the bell for the beginning of class rang, Yang Jian said with some emotion, if you don't pass the martial arts college entrance examination and become a warrior, you will be like this for the rest of your life. It's hard for ordinary people to rise to the top, whether they are in officialdom or business. As soon as these words came out, Fang Ping was stunned again, and Chen Fan, who had not spoken much before, was also a little lost and whispered, after all, warriors are a minority. For us, whether we go into business or politics, I'm afraid we can't reach that step, so there's no need to care about these. Through the conversation between the two, Fang Ping vaguely felt something. If you don't become a warrior, according to his understanding, those who are officials will not exceed the department level, and those who do business will not be able to do business in other cities. I don't know if it's a hard rule, or a tacit rule that everyone agrees on, but no matter which one, Fang Ping can feel the strong malice of this society towards him. If you don't become a warrior, don't become a strong person. Even if you are a reborn person, I'm afraid you can only spin around at the bottom for a lifetime. The key is that Fang Ping now seriously suspects that he is not reborn. Although the appearance of the students has not changed, the names have not changed, including those bigwigs, the names of the companies, they all match, but suddenly a high-energy profession popped out. Is the rest really the same as what I remember? I wanted to ask a few more questions, but at this moment the teacher had already entered the classroom, and everyone else returned to their seats without idle chatter, and these things, in the eyes of others, are all common sense things. Fang Ping does not want to ask any more. If you ask any more, I'm afraid these guys will suspect that he has amnesia. Thinking about it, while the teacher was turning his back, Fang Ping quietly asked Chen Fan, is there still an internet cafe near our school? Chen Fan looked at him strangely, but still replied, of course, didn't you often go to that Blue Sky internet cafe before? Ha! Fang Ping sighed and nodded. It seems that some things are still the same. For example, this internet cafe with a vulgar name is still there. Since the internet cafe is still there, it means that some things have not changed. After school, he went to the internet cafe to check some information, and he should be able to find the information he wanted to know. Seeing Fang Ping relieved, Chen Fan still kindly reminded, although we can't pass the martial arts college entrance examination, we can't give up. If we do well in the liberal arts college entrance examination, we can still have a chance to stand out. Maybe we will have the chance to become a warrior in the future. The college entrance examination is imminent, and it's better to go to the internet cafe less. Fang Ping smiled and nodded. As a member of the ordinary duo, Chen Fan didn't talk much, but since everyone was in similar conditions, he cared about his desk mate. Finally, after several classes in the morning, as soon as the bell rang for the end of school, Fang Ping hurriedly walked out. At this moment, he was full of questions that needed to be answered. Seeing Fang Ping hurrying out, Chen Fan thought for a moment and then followed up and said, are you going to eat or go to the internet cafe? Internet cafe. Come back early, the first class in the afternoon is the head teacher's class. Fang Ping responded. At this time, because both his parents were at work, he had lunch at a fast food restaurant near the school and didn't need to go home. Taking advantage of the noon break, his strong desire for knowledge made him wish he could go to the internet cafe immediately to learn about the things he didn't know. Walking quickly, Fang Ping quickly scanned the environment along the way. As he remembered, there was no difference in Yangqing No. 1 middle school, and the students and teachers were all very normal. Fang Ping didn't see anyone flying over the walls. If there is a difference, it is probably that there are some strange propaganda slogans and signs in the school. Prepare for the college entrance examination, martial arts college, here I come. Fight to the death, strive for martial arts college. Take the martial arts college, come to Bluebird martial arts tutoring class, your best choice. One blood chi pill, guarantee you to enter martial arts college. If it weren't for these strange things appearing openly in the school, Fang Ping would definitely believe that fortune tellers and big strength pill sellers had infiltrated the school, but at this moment, seeing everyone taking it for granted, Fang Ping understood that this was not the world he remembered. After all. As for how big the gap is, he still needs to figure it out. 10 minutes later, Fang Ping arrived at the Blue Sky Internet Cafe not far from the school. It was still the familiar smell, and the familiar sign. The internet cafe, which looked quite high-end back then, now looks dilapidated, and the 4 words, Blue Sky Internet Cafe, can hardly be seen. Stepping into the internet cafe, the girl at the internet cafe at the door was still the familiar but somewhat unfamiliar little girl, a young girl back in the day, during the hormone-raging youth. The mature-looking female internet cafe manager, who was dressed more mature than the students, also sneaked into Fang Ping's dreams a few times to do some shy bad things. Now looking at it again, Fang Ping felt that his eyes must have been crooked in his youth. Also, if she was really beautiful, she wouldn't be working as an internet cafe manager. After a glance at the female internet cafe manager, Fang Ping had no interest in flirting. Even if he did, this kind of girl was not suitable for a high-profile reborn person. However, thinking of a Master Ma, that sense of superiority that came naturally suddenly collapsed. The reborn person is quite high-profile, but the key is to be reborn in the right place. He cursed a few words in his heart, but Fang Ping didn't drag his feet and went straight to the point. Open a computer. How much is it per hour? 3 yuan. The female internet cafe manager also answered simply, and then said, are you a member? If you are not a member, open a membership, recharge 50 and get 10 yuan for free. Fang Ping looked arrogant and ignored her. Recharge 50 to get 10 yuan, too stingy. Besides, which eye of yours sees that I look like a person with 50 yuan? After a few classes in the morning, Fang Ping had already figured out his own assets, a total of 28 yuan. This money, including his lunch money, wants to charge 50 but has to take it out. Ignoring the internet cafe manager's sales pitch, Fang Ping took out a 5 yuan bill from his pocket and slapped it on the bar with an arrogant face. Of course. The female internet cafe manager also ignored him, this poor bee, and threw him a temporary membership card without paying him any more attention. Fang Ping really wanted to shout out, don't bully the youth for being poor, but considering that the internet cafe manager's level was too low, this sentence would be left for the bigwigs later, and he didn't bother with the internet cafe manager anymore. He took the temporary membership card and went to the corner of the internet cafe. In a corner of the internet cafe.as, the computer whirred to life. Fang Ping began to search for the information he craved with a hunger and thirst. The eerie blue glow of the screen cast an ominous light on Fang Ping's face. If anyone were sitting near Fang Ping at that moment, they would sense something was off. His expression would fluctuate from time to time, sometimes filled with indignation, sometimes gritting his teeth in frustration. Occasionally, a few curses would escape from his lips. It was unclear whether he was cursing at the heavens or at someone else. Over an hour later, the computer automatically shut down. He had run out of internet credit. Fang Ping didn't bother to top up his credit. With a sense of confusion and understanding, he walked out of the internet cafe. The moment he stepped out of the cafe, Fang Ping's face hardened significantly. He gritted his teeth and declared, I'm going to take the martial arts exam. As if that wasn't enough to prove his determination, Fang Ping added, I must take the martial arts exam. Outside the internet cafe, Fang Ping was resolute, his eyes filled with determination. He had to be determined. After more than an hour of browsing and research, Fang Ping finally understood some things. For instance, what is a martial artist? Modern martial artists are not much different from the martial artists in ancient novels and films, except that the background has changed to modern times, and the profession of martial artist has officially appeared in modern society. If it were just the emergence of the high-energy profession of martial artists, Fang Ping, despite his interest in superheroes, would not necessarily have to become a martial artist. But in today's society, martial artists are not just a high-energy profession, they also symbolize power and status. The law of the jungle is an unchanging truth. In his previous life, this difference was not so obvious, as everyone was ordinary people who could be knocked down with a single gunshot. But in this society full of martial arts powerhouses, the gap is more evident than ever before. For example, Fang Ping didn't fully understand when he told Yang Jian that politics and business were limited to the city, but now he understands completely. Ordinary people are the mainstream of this society, and there are no restrictions on the industries they engage in. But according to the law, yes, it is clearly stipulated by law. The legal representative of a company that expands beyond the city must be a martial artist, regardless of rank. And if you want to expand across provinces, the company's legal person must meet a rank requirement, not lower than the 4th rank of martial arts. According to the information Fang Ping found on the internet, there are 9 ranks in martial arts today, with the 1st rank being the lowest and the 9th rank being the highest. Those below the 4th rank are low-level martial artists, those above the 7th rank, including the 7th rank, are high-level martial artists. These people are also known as grandmaster-level powerhouses. To establish a company that expands across provinces, firstly, the company's legal person must be a martial arts powerhouse of the 4th rank or above. And if you want to become a multinational group, although the law does not stipulate, Fang Ping also did a simple search on the internet, without the 7th rank of martial arts. Even if your company's products are excellent and have a large audience, rashly entering other countries or regions is tantamount to seeking death and giving away money. Even if the group has a powerhouse above the 7th rank, they must prove their strength. For example, the current Little Ma, the products of the Penguin Company, similar to his previous life, are mainly instant messaging, and QQ is still the main online chat tool in China today, but it is limited to China. Penguin can't even enter Asia now because Ma Huateng has reached the 7th rank in the past, but as a global conglomerate, Google has also developed an instant messaging software, and the powerhouse stationed in Asia by Google is the 8th rank of martial arts. Unless Ma Huateng can prove his strength one day and has the strength to compete with Google for resources, he shouldn't think about expanding because you're not in your home country. The people you send to expand could disappear overnight. Only by proving to the outside world and peers that you have the strength to expand can you expand steadily. This is also the reason why Ma Huateng chose to challenge Tim immediately after breaking through to the 8th rank. The outcome of this challenge is not important. What is important is to prove that he, Ma Huateng, is now a top-notch powerhouse at the 8th rank and has the qualifications to share the cake. This is the rule of the business world, and other fields are more or less the same. For example, in politics, there is a slight difference from the previous life. Within a province, the governor has the greatest power, and a provincial governor must be at least at the 4th rank of martial arts. In fact, the current provincial governors are almost all above the 5th rank, and some strong provinces have grandmaster level governors. The current governor of Nanjiang province is still at the 6th rank of martial arts. Although he is not the weakest among the provincial governors, he is not strong either, which has resulted in him not being able to fight for more resources for Nanjiang. The amount of resources determines the intensity and investment of the government in the training of martial artists. There were rumors that the governor of Nanjiang was about to make a breakthrough, and Yang Jian was quite excited about this. Because of this reason, a grandmaster level governor can fight for more resources for Nanjiang. This is true in politics, business, the military, and even the entertainment industry and other fields. Famous celebrities not only need talent and good looks, but also impressive martial arts skills, because without strength, no matter how much wealth you earn, you can't keep it, unless you have a strong parent backing you. Today's rich and official second generations almost all have a unified name, Wu Er Dai, martial second generation, because those who are rich and powerful are all powerful martial artists. Ordinary people also have a very small part that can reach the upper echelons, but these people without exception have powerful martial artists behind them, and they themselves also need to demonstrate absolute value, a value that is countless times more demanding than martial artists. If you can't become a martial artist, you're destined to have nothing to do with the elites and the powerful. This extreme gap has also resulted in all ordinary people in modern society aspiring to become martial artists. Even the weakest martial artists, who do nothing and just hang around in small companies, have an annual income starting at a million at least. In fact, those who can really become martial arts powerhouses are all elites of society. These people, unless they submit to other stronger people, otherwise they very rarely hang around. Most of them start their own businesses. Compared to ordinary people, their advantages are too obvious. If you don't become a martial artist, no matter how many golden ideas you have, they are just serving others. Fang Ping muttered to himself. This is also a bloody fact. Just now when he was searching the internet for information, besides things related to martial artists, everything else was more or less the same as in his previous life. That is to say, if Fang Ping wanted to start a business, he wouldn't be lacking in products or ideas. The key is that Fang Ping himself does not have the ability to protect himself. Earning a little is not a big deal, but if he wants to grow and become stronger, that is a pipe dream. If he crosses the line slightly, the most likely thing is that his industry will be taken away, because the legal system in China is relatively sound, and there are countless powerful people in the government. Others may not take your life, but the fortune you have earned most likely will benefit others. For example, at the moment, there is no WeChat in society. If Fang Ping created it, there would only be two results. First, it would become someone else's. Second, it will circulate in this city as a niche entertainment thing. Beyond this city, sorry, no matter how much money you make, it is not yours. As for who it belongs to, it depends on the competition between various parties. Ordinary people, they just have to work honestly, maybe start some small companies and workshops, and wander around in this city. Even in this city, it's not necessarily safe. This kind of precarious, fearful life, compared to the restrictions on ordinary people in his previous life, is even greater. If Fang Ping doesn't want to be a salted fish, then becoming a martial artist becomes inevitable. Even if he wants to be a salted fish, at least he should be a salted fish with no worries about food and clothing and security, right? Fortunately, this world is still dominated by ordinary people, and society has not really abandoned these ordinary people, cutting off their hopes of rising. The college entrance examination is the hope for countless ordinary people to rise to the sky and leap over the Dragon's Gate. Some of the prestigious schools today have established martial arts departments, specifically for training martial artists, so as not to cut off the hopes of ordinary people. There are also some professional martial arts schools that will also recruit students during the college entrance examination. But as the saying goes, poor in literature, rich in martial arts. Martial artists possess powerful strength, but the resources they consume far exceed those of ordinary people. Training a martial artist consumes countless money. Under these circumstances, to pass the martial arts examination and receive the state's resource training, one must be a prodigy. So every year, the college entrance examination for martial arts students is more difficult than getting into a prestigious school in his previous life. In 2007, a total of 9 million students in Hua country took the college entrance examination, and the total number of martial arts students admitted by universities across the country was less than 20,000. This is the combined figure of all schools. In the previous life, prestigious universities like Tsinghua and Peking University, although they only recruited a few thousand students each year, there were not a few prestigious schools. When all the 985 universities were combined, the students they admitted each year exceeded 100,000. Nowadays, there are over 100 universities and professional martial arts schools across the country that have established martial arts departments. 100 universities recruit 20,000 students, which is far too few on average. A nearly 1 in 500 admission ratio seems not low, but in reality, this is in big cities. The ratio in small cities is 10 times higher. This is also the main reason why Chen Fan and others are desperate. In addition to this, there are many thresholds for applying for martial arts. The registration fee of 10,000 that Chen Fan mentioned earlier is just the lowest threshold. Now, not to mention other conditions, just the registration fee for the martial arts examination is enough to give Fang Ping a headache. And the registration for martial arts is going to start next week, and there is a time limit for registration. After the time, even if you have money, you can't apply for martial arts. A registration fee of 10,000. Fang Ping, who was just ambitious, is a bit wilting at this time. Just the starting conditions have extinguished most of the flames in his heart, not to mention that there are a series of requirements later. Headache. Fang Ping sighed, and there are probably not many people who have been reborn and are still so miserable in modern society. When Fang Ping returned to school after dinner, he only had 15 yuan left in his pocket. The afternoon class hasn't started yet, and some of the students in the class are preparing for the college entrance examination, while others are chatting, and most of them are talking about the master battle that Zhang Hao mentioned in the morning. Seeing Fang Ping coming back, Chen Fan, who was doing the problem, quickly put down his pen and asked, "Did you go to play games?" Fang Ping rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "Do you think I'm stupid to have the mood to play games at this time? I went to check the college entrance examination information." As he said, Fang Ping rubbed his hands and smiled. "Little Fan, do you have any spare money?" Chen Fan frowned slightly, and after a while, he said, "There are 10 yuan left, cough cough, don't joke. If you have money, borrow 10 or 8,000, and I will repay it 100 times when I get rich." Hee hee. Chen Fan smiled without smiling, put down his glasses and continued to do the problem. Fang Ping was crazy about money. Fang Ping sighed, "This road won't work, they are all students." No matter how ordinary Chen Fan's family conditions are, even the students with good conditions in the class, who would be stupid to lend you 10,000 is it only to ask parents, but the family's conditions are general, and today's 10,000 is not a small number. According to his own standards, there is almost no hope for applying for martial arts. If you open your mouth, can your parents agree? Today is Saturday, only senior high school students have classes, saying that it will be registered next week, but it is actually less than 2 days before next Monday. If there is more time, you can try to see if you can make up the registration fee, but there is not enough time for 2 days. Even if you open the golden finger, you can't get 10,000, right? This is just the first step to apply for martial arts. If you want to get into martial arts, you have to continue to spend money. In this society, the strong are all piled up with resources and wealth. Otherwise, why do all the strong martial artists run businesses and want to make their businesses bigger and stronger? Even if they don't run a business, most of them will enter official institutions. The strong in novels and TV are free and easy, and they can upgrade with a little understanding, and they don't need to eat or drink. If it were before, Fang Ping didn't think there was anything, but now, Fang Ping knows that this is purely bullshit. Just take a simple look at the internet at noon, and there are some exposures on the internet. Even the weakest martial arts first-class martial artist, the resources consumed to cultivate such a martial artist, converted into wealth, must be at least 1 million. This is still a product, in Fang Ping's eyes, that is the weakest, the most unremarkable martial artist. Just like that, it costs 1 million in money. The higher the martial artist, the more resources consumed and the money spent are astronomical numbers. Without the support of the industry, it is impossible to go further. Ordinary people, if they fail to get into martial arts, with the current wage level of ordinary people, how many families can self-study and become martial artists outside of university? The reason why everyone is rushing to the martial arts university is that the martial arts in the university will provide students with most of the resources, which is the government's money to cultivate. Even if there are some shortcomings, once you get into martial arts, the bank's door will be open to you, and loans are not a problem. Or sign a contract with some big companies in advance. Martial arts students are very popular, and all groups are happy to spend money to cultivate some reserve seeds, and all of this is based on getting into martial arts. Want to become a martial artist without spending money? Dreamer. Fang Ping sighed again. He didn't know how many sighs he had today. Why was this rebirth so depressing? During the afternoon class, the homeroom teacher mentioned the registration for the martial arts program again. The situation at Yangqing No. 1 High School isn't too bad. In recent years, there have always been students who have been admitted to the martial arts program. Last year was a breakthrough with 5 students being admitted at once. Even though class 3 in the senior year is a regular class, 2 of the 5 students admitted to the martial arts program last year were from this regular class. This has made the school leaders, who didn't have much hope for the regular class before, pay more attention to the registration for the martial arts program this year. Whether they can be admitted or not, it's worth trying to register. If they don't even register, they won't have any chance at all. However, the high registration fee is the first hurdle, blocking 99% of the people. The registration fee alone is 10,000 yuan. Unless they have confidence in themselves, no one would want to take a gamble, unless they are rich. Therefore, when the homeroom teacher brought up this matter, there were few responses. Only a few students who had a glimmer of hope echoed for a while after talking about the registration. The homeroom teacher finally mentioned, for those who are going to apply for the martial arts program, the school will organize a Q&A session next Wednesday afternoon. The school has gone to great lengths to invite Wang Jinyang, a student from Nanjiang Martial Arts University, to give a speech for everyone. Everyone should cherish this opportunity. For those who are registering for the martial arts program, the school will notify you. Remember to dress neatly. The homeroom teacher reminded them for a while. The general idea was to show a serious attitude, and this Wang Jinyang from Nanjiang Martial Arts University is actually just a freshman in the martial arts program, who was admitted from Yangqing No. 1 High School last year. However, just a freshman from the martial arts college made the teachers of Yangqing No. 1 High School take him very seriously. At this moment, Fang Ping once again realized the gap between ordinary people and martial artists. As for Chen Fan, who was sitting next to Fang Ping, his focus was different. He muttered subconsciously, the school really spent a lot of money this time. The appearance fee must be at least 50,000 or 60,000 yuan. Fang Ping's eyebrows twitched slightly, and he couldn't help asking, they charge for coming back to school and sharing some experiences with their juniors? Chen Fan laughed and said, of course, do you think martial artists are easy to invite? The workload of martial arts students is much heavier than that of liberal arts students. We have summer and winter vacations, but they have to make money and practice during their vacations. Who would waste their time giving advice to others without getting paid? Even if elder brother Wang doesn't charge, the school will take the initiative to give. Favors will be used up sooner or later. If every year they ask these martial arts students to give speeches for free, it's okay for once or twice. If it happens too often, this favor will be used up. Now if they give some appearance fees, they can leave a good impression. In the future, when these martial arts seniors become famous, they will remember the favor if they have old feelings. After Chen Fan said this, Fang Ping completely understood. Then he looked at Chen Fan strangely and said, I didn't expect that you can see things so clearly. Chen Fan was just a high school student. There were some things that Fang Ping hadn't thought of because of the differences in his previous life, but this guy seemed to know them well. What's this? Chen Fan laughed at himself a little, shook his head and didn't continue speaking. Fang Ping didn't continue either, but was thinking that it was much easier for martial artists to make money than ordinary people. A freshman, who came to school to answer questions before the exam, only took 2 or 3 hours at most, and the appearance fee was 50,000 to 60,000 yuan. Although it can't be treated as a common phenomenon, 50,000 to 60,000 yuan is more than what his parents can earn in a year. After working hard, after the homeroom teacher's class ended, Fang Ping endured a few more classes and finally the school bell rang in the afternoon. Today is Saturday, and the school doesn't have evening self-study. In fact, it's not far from the college entrance examination now. Some students are preparing for the martial arts program. Whether they come to the school for evening self-study is up to them. The school pays more attention to martial arts students than liberal arts students, even if there are not many admitted each year. He left the school with Chen Fan and a few other students he was familiar with. At the school gate, they all went their separate ways, following the familiar route in his memory. Fang Ping walked home. As he was walking, Fang Ping began to hesitate. Although this world has many similarities with the world in his memory, there are also many differences. Is his home in this life still in the same place? Even if the home is still there, his parents won't change, will they? As a psychologically nearly 30-year-old adult, if he suddenly changes his parents, Fang Ping can't call them out. It shouldn't change, right? Fang Ping comforted himself uncertainly. The classmates didn't change, the teachers didn't change, there's no reason for his parents to change. Of course, it's best if they don't change. Even if they do, as long as the person is the same, it would be nice if the family environment changes a bit. For example, if Fang Ping goes home the next moment and finds out that his family is the richest man in Yangqing, that would be the best. Or, if his parents are top martial arts masters, that would be even better. Of course, it's just a thought. Feeling the malice from the world, Fang Ping doesn't hold any hope for this. 20 minutes later, Fang Ping arrived at the community where his home was located. Jinghu Garden Community. The name sounds not bad, but in fact, it's one of the few old communities in Yangqing with a housing age of over 30 years. Seeing this familiar old community and some dilapidated old buildings, Fang Ping completely gave up the idea that his family was rich. In his memory, Fang Ping has always had a complaint, that is, he didn't become a demolition second generation. Since the beginning of the 21st century, there have been rumors that Jinghu Garden Community is going to be demolished. However, the rumors have been going on year after year, and until 2018, Jinghu Garden is still Jinghu Garden. There's not too much homesickness. In fact, just a few days before he was reborn, Fang Ping had visited his parents in Jinghu Garden. His parents are younger now, which is a good thing, so there's no need for too many complex emotions. Room 101, Building 6. Standing outside the door, Fang Ping didn't knock on the door, but took out a key from his pocket and directly opened the door. As soon as the door was opened, the small living room came into view. An old community with a housing age of over 30 years, the layout of the houses is not large, and most of the old houses were small units. Although Fang Ping's family is a 2-bedroom and 1 living room layout, the actual area is very small, only about 60 square meters. After living for so many years, there are many miscellaneous things in the house. The originally not large living room now looks even more crowded. Although it's crowded, it's not too messy. The small living room is cleaned up very neatly by Fang's mother. As the first floor of an old community, there are many disadvantages. It's easy to attract snakes, insects, rats and ants, and it's easy to get damp, and there's a lot of dust. If the residents on other floors go upstairs and make a loud noise, they can often hear footsteps. However, there are many disadvantages, but the only advantage is probably that you can fence a small yard, and in an old community like Jinghu Garden, the property management has long been abandoned, and other relevant departments will not pay too much attention to it, so the yard will not be demolished as an illegal building. Fang's family is like this. In front of the living room, there is another door, which leads directly to the backyard. The kitchen and bathroom of the house are built in the yard, and the original kitchen and bathroom are transformed into a small room, which is where Fang Ping is now living. In theory, there's no need for a 2-bedroom and 1 living room house to be transformed, but Fang Ping has a younger sister who is in junior high school. The 4-member family is crowded in this small house, and it's really not easy to manage without a yard. Speaking of Chow Chow, Chow Chow is here. Fang Ping was squatting down to change his shoes, thinking about these things, when he heard the voice of his younger sister, Fang Yuan, from the small room on the right side of the living room. Fang Ping, you dare to come back. Fang Yuan's voice was a bit sharp, but Fang Yuan was only 13 years old this year. Even if the little girl had a sharp voice, it wasn't as piercing as an old woman's. Accompanied by the sharp voice filled with anger, a figure quickly rushed out of the small room. Fang Yuan, who is not tall, still has some baby fat on her face at this time, making her small face round and cute. The way she glares doesn't make people dislike her, but makes her look cuter. As soon as he saw Fang Yuan, Fang Ping was a bit itchy. He didn't ask why Fang Yuan was angry, nor did he say anything else. Without saying a word, he got up, went forward, and skillfully pinched the little girl's chubby cheeks, pulling them slightly to the sides. Under Fang Yuan's angry stare, Fang Ping enjoyed himself and said, I haven't pinched it for a long time. I finally got the chance. In a few years, this round-faced little girl will suddenly become a melon-faced girl, and the flesh on her face will disappear. This is something Fang Ping has always regretted. The round face with meat feels good to pinch, but it's annoying to suddenly become a melon face. Fang Ping was satisfied, but Fang Yuan was very angry. She slapped Fang Ping's devil's claw and said angrily, Mom, Fang Ping is pinching my face again. In the yard, Fang's mother, Li Yueying, who was busy in the kitchen, didn't turn her head, and said with a smile, Don't make trouble, we're going to have dinner when your dad comes back. I made something delicious for you today. Mom! Fang Yuan shouted unwillingly. Seeing that her mother didn't stand up for her, she glared at Fang Ping angrily, then she remembered the main thing, and said angrily, Fang Ping, pay back the money. What? Feigning ignorance. Mom gave us 50 yuan, we agreed to split it half and half. Why is there only 5 yuan on my desk? Where's the rest of the money? Fang Ping was dumbfounded. Is there such a thing? So it seems that the total asset of 28 yuan in his pocket today, except for the lunch money, the rest is all this girl's? But Fang Ping, who is already poor, only has 15 yuan left in his pocket now. Even though it was hard to bring up, for the sake of the future, it had to be done. After all, registration was next Monday. Fang Ping was no god. With only 1 day left, where could he raise 10,000 yuan? When his father, Fang Mingrong, returned home, dragging his tired body, the family sat down for dinner. Fang Ping finally spoke. Dad, the registration for the martial arts college is next week. I want to apply for it, but the registration fee, it's 10,000 yuan. As soon as Fang Ping finished speaking, the entire room fell silent. Fang Mingrong, in his early 40s, didn't look old, but he was somewhat pale. Fang Mingrong worked in a ceramic factory in the suburbs of Yang City. He was not a skilled worker, just a common laborer. In Yang City, where the average wage for a general worker was around 2,000 yuan, Fang Mingrong's monthly wage was about 3,000 yuan. It wasn't that the boss favored him, or that Fang Mingrong was particularly good at his job. The key issue was that long-term work in a ceramic factory could lead to silicosis, so the wages had to be higher. It was essentially trading health for money, but Fang Mingrong had no choice. 2 children at home, 1 in high school and 1 in junior high school, required money for everything from food and clothing to housing and transportation. He also had to save for Fang Ping's college tuition, and consider the expenses for Fang Ping's marriage and house purchase after graduation. The whole family was living a tight life. 10,000 yuan, excluding daily expenses, would take the couple almost half a year to save. In today's society, martial arts were held in high esteem. Fang Mingrong, despite being ordinary, understood that getting into a martial arts college was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. In the vast Yang City, tens of thousands of students took the college entrance examination each year. Among them, those who got into martial arts colleges could be counted on 2 hands. Fang Ping's school, Yang City No. 1 High School, was considered one of the best high schools in Yang City. Even so, only 5 students from Yang City #1 high school got into martial arts colleges last year, while there were nearly 1,500 students in the third year of high school, and more than 20 ordinary classes. In 2007, among these more than 20 ordinary classes, only 2 students got into martial arts colleges. Fang Mingrong, who had attended several parent-teacher meetings, was not unfamiliar with this information. In fact, the teachers at #1 high school actively promoted it, because being able to produce 2 martial arts students from ordinary classes was not a disadvantage, but an advantage, something for the teachers to be proud of. Now, spending 10,000 yuan to gamble on an elusive chance, was it worth it? Fang Mingrong didn't rush to speak, and Li Yueying was hesitant. Fang Yuan kept her head down and didn't dare to speak. Compared to Fang Ping, who just learned about these common sense, Fang Yuan, who was already in junior high school, knew more. Fang Mingrong took a sip from his small wine glass, looked at his son, and after a moment, nodded. Let your mom give you the bank card later, you can withdraw 10,000 yuan by yourself tomorrow. Dad! Fang Ping clenched his teeth, wanting to say a few words to comfort his father, but Fang Mingrong interrupted him directly. Whether you get in or not, it's enough that you have this aspiration. Even if you don't get in, at least you'll have more experience, and you can guide Yuan when she goes to high school. Although our family is not wealthy, this is a matter of a lifetime. Even though he had little hope, the entrance to martial arts college was a matter of whether one could leap over the dragon's gate in this life. If Fang Ping didn't bring it up, Fang Mingrong wouldn't mention it, but since his son had mentioned it, he could work more overtime. 10,000 yuan wouldn't ruin the Fang family. Seeing his father speak like this, Fang Ping didn't say any more. At this point, saying more heroic words would be useless. Besides, Fang Ping was not sure if he could really get in. He did get reborn, but he didn't come back from cultivating immortality. Martial arts college, even if he didn't know what specific projects he needed to take, he knew it definitely involved physical fitness and such. In fact, Fang Ping had a simple understanding, and the requirements were even more extensive. Whether he could get into a martial arts college, Fang Ping really had no confidence at present. But even if he couldn't get in, it's not difficult to make some small money in the future, and there might not be a chance to become a martial artist. So for the future, Fang Ping felt that even if he couldn't reach the top, he wouldn't be like now, tricking his sister for 20 yuan of pocket money. Having solved the biggest obstacle at present, Fang Ping felt much more relaxed. Fang Yuan was the joker of the family. Seeing everyone still immersed in the previous topic, she shifted the topic with a smile. Fang Ping, are you really going to take the martial arts college entrance examination? Fang Ping laughed. Of course, when your brother gets into martial arts college and becomes a martial artist, you'll be rich. Next semester, when you go to school, you can brag to your classmates that my brother is a martial artist. I guarantee that by then, you'll be the school bully in your school, and no one will dare to call you round and round anymore. Fang Ping. Fang Yuan was once again angry. The little girl, because of her round face and the name Yuan, was given a nickname, Round and Round, by the naughty boys in junior high school within a few days. For this reason, the little girl was ready to duel with those boys. Fang Ping was stirring up trouble, making Fang Yuan so angry that she kept rolling her eyes. After dinner, Li Yueying gave Fang Ping the family's bank card. She had to work tomorrow, and Fang Ping was not a child anymore. He could withdraw money by himself. In the past, when the family needed money, sometimes they would let Fang Ping withdraw it. Receiving the bank card, Fang Ping felt quite emotional, murmuring, my parents are really trusting, aren't they afraid I'll withdraw all of it? Of course, there was more than 10,000 yuan in the card. If it were before, Fang Ping naturally wouldn't touch it, but now, shaking his head, Fang Ping decided against it. If he needed money, he would just tell his parents directly. Taking it without telling them was no different from stealing. The night passed without a word. The next day, April 6th, Fang Ping got up early, but his parents got up even earlier and had already gone to work. After a simple wash, the breakfast that his mother had prepared in the morning was still on the table, a few small dishes, and a bowl of golden scrambled eggs. Fang Ping, who was used to buying breakfast on his way to work and eating while walking, sat in the chair and leisurely ate his meal. This feeling was quite enjoyable. If he were simply back in the past, Fang Ping wouldn't be in a hurry at all. What was the college entrance examination? Even if he didn't take the college entrance examination, with his years of social experience, the probability of seizing some opportunities and rising with the tide was high. But now it was different. If he didn't seize this opportunity for the martial arts college examination, whether he would have such an opportunity in the future was uncertain, and every day he was not a martial artist, he had to be cautious even when doing business. Fang Ping clearly distinguished between primary and secondary. At present, the main thing was the college entrance examination, especially the martial arts college examination. Everything else had to be put aside. Unless he didn't get in this time, then Fang Ping would consider other ways. Having sorted out his priorities, Fang Ping finished breakfast and prepared to go out to withdraw money, while also observing the situation and understanding the specific differences in society now. Just as he was about to leave, Fang Yuan, already dressed, rushed out and said hurriedly, Fang Ping, I'm going too. What are you going for? I don't care, I'm going anyway. And you have to buy me something good to eat. Who told you to use my pocket money? Fang Ping laughed, but he didn't refuse. It was just withdrawing money, not some private matter. Having this little girl around might even avoid some trouble. After all, Fang Ping didn't know if there were other things in this world that he didn't understand. When they left, it was still early, and Fang Ping was not in a hurry to go to the bank. Walking side by side with Fang Yuan on the street, Fang Yuan didn't need him to manage. She was curiously looking around, as if she was the one who had been reborn. The streets outside the community were not much different from his memory. If it weren't for those annoying advertisements, Fang Ping would have been a lot more relaxed. Nourishing skincare, even the grandmasters approve. Special step, making warriors run faster. Family secret recipe, one bite and you'll become a warrior. There was an array of advertisements, almost all of which were somehow linked to warriors. In reality, over the years, in a city with hundreds of thousands of residents like Yang City, the number of warriors who actually stayed probably didn't exceed 20. Warriors were, in fact, far removed from the ordinary people of Yang City, but this didn't stop everyone from discussing, paying attention, and advertising them. After all, they weren't specifically targeting anyone. In this era, the true stars were the martial arts masters. Of course, most of the big stars were also martial arts masters. Fang Ping ignored these intrusive advertisements as he walked along the road. He bought a few skewers that were touted as, even warriors say they're good, for Fang Yuan. At this moment, he only had a 10 yuan note left in his pocket. The little girl was happy and didn't realize that the money Fang Ping was spending was actually her pocket money. After their round, Fang Ping led Fang Yuan to an ATM not far away. Insert card, input password, withdraw money. While inputting the password, Fang Yuan was on the lookout for thieves. Glancing around nervously as if someone was going to peep at them, the ATM at this time could only dispense a maximum of 2,000 yuan a day. When the ATM spat out the first batch of banknotes, Fang Ping held them for a moment, suddenly going blank. In his daze, Fang Ping didn't continue the operation for a while. Fang Yuan, who was on the lookout, hurriedly said, "Fang Ping, is it counterfeit money? I saw on the news that even bank ATMs can have counterfeit money, but the banks won't admit it." The little girl was somewhat anxious, her mouth chattering non-stop, and even got a bit angry. In the end, "We have to get it exchanged, let's find the bank staff." At this moment, Fang Ping didn't pay much attention to what she was saying. Frowning slightly, he thought for a while and then continued to operate the machine, starting to withdraw the second batch of money. Soon, the second batch of 2,000 yuan was also spat out from the money dispenser. Fang Ping quickly took the money into his hand. Just like the first time, he held the money and paused for a while without moving. At this point, even Fang Yuan was a bit confused, and she asked curiously, "Fang Ping, are you stupid? Is it counterfeit money or not? Say something." "Hey, Fang Ping, what are you doing? Fang Ping, are you blinded by money?" The little girl's mouth never stopped, while Fang Ping glanced at her and suddenly handed her the banknotes. "Here, you hold it." Fang Yuan's round face was full of confusion, but she still took the banknotes and looked at Fang Ping. Fang Ping asked, "How do you feel?" Fang Yuan replied, "Can we not report to the martial arts school and buy some food instead?" Fang Ping suddenly burst into laughter, quickly replying, "So, you don't feel anything?" At this time, Fang Yuan felt like she was about to explode. Her round eyes stared at him, angrily saying, "You're bullying me again." "No, not this time." Fang Ping couldn't hide his laughter, and immediately said, "I was just teasing you just now. Okay, I'll continue to withdraw money. Once I'm finished, we'll go home." Next, Fang Yuan watched as her big brother began withdrawing money in a silly manner. The reason she said he was silly was that Fang Ping's method of withdrawing money was too unconventional. Sometimes he withdrew 100 yuan, sometimes 200 yuan. In short, he never withdrew the same amount twice. It took him over 10 times to withdraw 10,000 yuan, and that wasn't all. After withdrawing 10,000 yuan and still having a balance in the card, Fang Ping started withdrawing money again. Just when Fang Yuan thought he was going to pocket the money, she saw something that dazzled her. Fang Ping withdrew money, then deposited it back, and repeated the process, leaving Fang Yuan completely dumbfounded. Not only Fang Yuan, but there were also others waiting to withdraw money behind them. Fang Ping had been monopolizing the ATM for almost half an hour. Seeing that he was still going to continue, someone finally couldn't bear it and exploded, "Young man, enough. You withdraw 1,000,000, deposit 1,000,000, isn't this enough time?" Fang Yuan was young and not thick-skinned. Considering that they were in the wrong, her little face immediately turned red as she tugged at Fang Ping's arm. Fang Ping, however, had tested enough. He calmly deposited the excess money back, pulled out the card, and left. Once they left the ATM area, Fang Ping suddenly looked radiant, and without any care in the world, he started chuckling to himself. Fang Yuan felt her hair standing on end. Had Fang Ping been stimulated? Fang Ping. Hee hee, you, don't scare me. Hee hee hee, woo, Fang Ping, what's wrong with you? Hee hee hee, ahem, nothing, let's go home. Seeing that Fang Yuan was about to cry from being scared, Fang Ping coughed, suppressing the urge to laugh out loud, and took the little girl home. Jinghu Garden, Room 101, Building 6. As soon as Fang Ping returned home, he locked himself in his private little room. Fang Yuan knocked on the door from outside several times, but Fang Ping refused to open the door, which made Fang Yuan very angry and wanting to break in. At this moment, Fang Ping didn't care whether Fang Yuan was angry or not the moment he withdrew his money. If he hadn't been confused about some things, Fang Ping would have started studying somewhere, inside the small room. The 10,000 yuan that Fang Ping had withdrawn was now placed on his left-hand side, and on his right-hand side was a 10 yuan note, which was his total wealth. At this moment, Fang Ping's face had returned to normal, but he still looked somewhat puzzled. At the moment when he was withdrawing money from the ATM, Fang Ping took 2,000 yuan into his hand, and suddenly his vision blurred, similar to floaters, as if something had abruptly appeared in his line of sight. The reason why Fang Ping was stunned at that time was because of this. Different from the blur of floaters, what suddenly appeared in his sight were a few lines of clear small characters. Fang Ping still remembered that there were 3 lines of small characters that appeared at that time: wealth, 2,000 blood chi, 1 spirit, 1. These few lines of text were very simple and the words were easy to understand. The first thing Fang Ping thought of was a system. For these things, Fang Ping is not unfamiliar. Even if he hasn't eaten pork, he has seen pigs run. But Fang Ping found that what appeared in front of his eyes was too simple. Just a few lines of text, no explanation, no instructions. Do systems not provide instruction manuals these days? Or is it that this thing is a substandard product produced on an assembly line? And it appeared too abruptly. Fang Ping was completely unprepared. If it had appeared the moment he woke up in the classroom yesterday, Fang Ping could have accepted it without any doubt. But it's been a day, why did it suddenly appear? Thinking about the number of wealth 2000, Fang Ping quickly figured out some situations. In order to confirm whether this number is related to money, Fang Ping did some experiments on the spot. As expected, as he withdrew money, the wealth value in his sight did increase. Now, Fang Ping understood what wealth represented, but after several experiments, Fang Ping still couldn't understand some things. For example, the first point, he also had 28 yuan on him yesterday, and now he still has 10 yuan left. But why didn't this happen yesterday? After thinking about it for a long time, and considering that he still had 10 yuan left in his hand that hadn't been counted into his wealth, Fang Ping had some understanding. In simple terms, he was too poor. His definition of a system might be that of a rich master, and it wouldn't count anything less than 100 yuan. If he had been reborn as a person with a wealth of over 100 yuan, he would have noticed it yesterday. But Fang Ping was poor. If it hadn't been for the need to pay for the martial arts examination, given his current situation, his parents wouldn't have given him 100 yuan at once, and Fang Ping might not have discovered this thing for a long time. Yesterday, Fang Ping was complaining that God was not fair, causing him, a reborn person, to live a miserable life. Now it seems that he has wronged God. The key is that he is a poor bee. Wealth is indeed the original sin. Having roughly understood this point, Fang Ping sighed deeply. These days, even God looks down on the poor. Have you considered his feelings? If he had never had the chance to get 100 yuan, wouldn't that have wasted this system? Of course, this is unlikely. This is the first point of doubt. Second, as Fang Ping withdrew money, he noticed some differences. When his wealth value increased to 10,000, Fang Ping withdrew some more money from his account, but his wealth did not increase. After several experiments, the value of wealth remained at 10,000 and did not move, because there were only a few lines of text, and no voice suddenly appeared in his mind to explain, and there was no instruction manual. Fang Ping had to make some judgments on his own. According to Fang Ping's understanding, the 10,000 yuan he withdrew today, because it was given by his parents for registration, should be considered his money. The money he withdrew later was his parents' money. The statistical wealth value is likely to be his own wealth. Otherwise, Fang Ping was thinking at the time, if he touched money, it could be counted into his wealth, then he wouldn't need to do anything else in the future. He could just go to work in a bank and find a job where he could handle cash. Even if he didn't go to the bank, there were many industries in society that dealt with money, some of which didn't have high standards, and he could increase his wealth value continuously through these jobs, even though he wasn't very clear about the effect of increasing wealth. It doesn't matter if it's not clear. Fang Ping knew that it was definitely not a bad thing. Wealth, which represents one's own wealth, is a bit too intelligent, and it doesn't quite match this simple system, but I'll reluctantly accept it. Fang Ping muttered to himself, then frowned slightly and murmured, is it just money, or can it include equivalent things? Like gold and jewels? When you have less money, it's okay to count cash, but when you have more money, you can't have all cash, can you? Moreover, do you have to touch your wealth every time you increase it? But in today's society, there are stocks and virtual currencies. These are intangible assets that you can't touch, right? Fang Ping felt a bit of a pity. Because of the limitations of poverty, he couldn't make a judgment at the moment. If he had some gold and jewels of his own, valuable stocks, he could do some experiments, but these could only be left for future experiments when conditions allowed. Indeed, poverty has limited my imagination. With a slight regret, Fang Ping wasn't in a hurry to prove these things. It was only a matter of time. In addition to these 2 points of doubt that he has already made judgments on, Fang Ping also considered one point, that is, the statistical wealth. Is it calculating net assets, or adding liabilities? It sounds a bit contradictory, but it's related to some actions Fang Ping might take next. This time, this 10,000 yuan was given by his parents. It can be considered a gift, it won't be taken back, but after all, it wasn't his own earned money. What if he borrowed money? Would that be considered his own money? Also, will the wealth value be deducted after this 10,000 yuan is paid for the registration fee? Money is meant to be spent. It's inevitable that if the wealth value is deducted when money is spent, then if Fang Ping wants to accumulate a large amount of wealth value, he can only be a miser in the future. All of the above, due to conditions, Fang Ping could not get an accurate answer for the time being, and could only leave it for later. What Fang Ping focused on was the two columns of blood, qi and spirit. In fact, Fang Ping had guessed some things, the words blood, qi and spirit. He saw them not once or twice when he was on the internet yesterday. Modern martial artists, although not many in number, are not too few either. Plus, with the abundance of information these days, some things always leak out on the internet. Even ordinary people have some understanding that blood, qi and spirit are the foundation of a martial artist. Low-level martial artists don't talk much about spirit, they don't pay much attention to it, but some opinions on the internet suggest that high-level martial artists, especially master-level powerhouses, the main difference from low-level martial artists lies in the spirit. Of course, this gap is a bit far for Fang Ping. For low-level martial artists, they mainly focus on blood, qi. Blood, qi is enough to cure all diseases. Even in Fang Ping's previous life, blood qi was often used, and Chinese medicine health preservation was all about nourishing blood qi. People with sufficient blood qi will be healthier than others. Some big tonics also supplement blood qi. For martial artists, or those preparing to become martial artists, people with sufficient blood qi may not necessarily be martial artists, but martial artists must have sufficient blood qi. Practicing martial arts is not about meditation, it has a huge difference compared to Taoism. Martial artists are essentially ordinary people who have trained to the extreme, breaking through the physical limits of the average person, which is the origin of martial artists. With sufficient qi and blood to support a healthy body that can withstand consumption, this is the foundation of a strong body. So, increasing qi and blood can make it easier for me to become a martial artist. After becoming a martial artist, it's easier to adapt to the following training, breaking through step by step, Fang Ping murmured, then asked himself, since the wealth value appeared, qi, blood and spirit have been quantified, does that mean I can convert them with wealth value? What's the conversion rate? Fang Ping never thought about a one-to-one conversion. Now, his qi, blood, and spirit values are all 1. If it's a one-to-one conversion, wouldn't $1 make his qi and blood twice as high as an ordinary person? Fang Ping would never believe it could be that easy. So, how should I convert? Fang Ping muttered, somewhat helpless, there should at least be a manual. It's too troublesome to figure it out on my own. At this moment, as long as Fang Ping concentrated, he could see a few lines of numbers in his field of vision. Staring at the numbers for a while, Fang Ping tentatively said, System, can you add some qi and blood for me? No response. System, I want to use wealth value to exchange for qi and blood. God, are you there? Can you give me a response? Open sesame. Little rabbit, behave. 3 pure ones, Amitabha Buddha. God bless, damn it. After trying for a while, the 3 lines of numbers remained unchanged. Fang Ping completely gave up. It seemed irrelevant. After thinking about it, Fang Ping stared hard at these lines of numbers, trying to see if there was a plus sign that he had overlooked. Unfortunately, there was none. Fang Ping was now stumped. He didn't know how to use it at all. Could it be broken? Is this thing reliable? He muttered in his heart, wouldn't it be nice if it was all said at once? Now it's making me feel stuck in the middle. Have you considered my feelings? Add some qi and blood, or I'll bash you. Fang Ping stared at the small characters in his field of vision and casually said a sentence. Unexpectedly, as soon as his words fell, the numbers before his eyes suddenly changed. Wealth, 0 qi and blood, 1.1 spirit, 1. Holy crap. Fang Ping was instantly dumbfounded. Was this how it worked? You have to threaten it to make it work. While he was stunned, Fang Ping also felt a little uncomfortable and began to fidget, but soon, this discomfort disappeared. Fang Ping took a deep breath and suddenly felt a lot lighter. If he had to describe his feelings, it was like a patient with asthma suddenly stopped wheezing, or someone with anemia was no longer anemic. To put it in a larger context, it was as if the Earth's gravity had decreased a little bit, although this feeling was very subtle. Comfortable. It was just a 0.1 increase in qi and blood, but Fang Ping felt it was more comfortable than a treasure. However, this comfort was short-lived. Just like a man after climaxing, it didn't last long and soon faded. Although it faded, Fang Ping could still vaguely feel that his body was healthier than before. He knew himself best. When there was a sudden change in his body, he could definitely feel it. However, seeing his wealth turn to 0, Fang Ping's brows furrowed. He knew the conversion rate wouldn't be high, but 100,000,1 was too much of a ripoff. 10,000 wealth value exchanged for a 0.1 increase in qi and blood. He didn't become a superhero, at most he had more chi and blood than an ordinary person. So, how much wealth value would he need to reach the chi and blood standard of a martial artist? Thinking of this, Fang Ping suddenly looked at the desk. When he saw that the red notes were still there, Fang Ping breathed a sigh of relief. It was a good thing that the worst-case scenario had not happened. If the wealth value was consumed and the money also disappeared, it would be difficult for him to explain to his parents that he grabbed the money on the table and fell into deep thought again. It seemed that he had to work hard to earn money in the future. Clearly, if he wanted to get into the martial arts school and become a martial artist, the easiest way at present was to convert chi and blood through wealth value. Moreover, even if he got into the martial arts school, in order to become a powerful martial artist, he would need to spend a lot of money to buy resources. In other words, everything comes down to money. Indeed, the poor have no chance to become strong. This is forcing me to find ways to make money. Fang Ping, who was full of thoughts about making money, was quickly knocked down by reality again. When he walked out of his room, Fang Yuan had been waiting outside the door. The moment Fang Yuan saw Fang Ping, she complained, "I'm hungry." "Are you hungry? Then eat." Fang Ping said naturally, but Fang Yuan pouted, "No money, no food left at home. The 50 yuan mom gave us the day before yesterday is our lunch money for these 3 days. Now all the money is with you. Where are we going to eat? Do we need money to eat?" Fang Ping seemed to have been hit hard. "Why didn't you mention this in the morning?" She was so happy when he bought her skewers. If Fang Ping hadn't been reluctant, the remaining 10 yuan could have been spent by this girl. It wasn't until now that Fang Ping realized that it also included today's lunch money. The key point was, he only had 10 yuan on him now, and this girl didn't want to use her 5 yuan. Was she planning to eat him out of house and home? Just as he expected, Fang Yuan said matter-of-factly, "Of course we need money to eat. You took all the money, and I don't have to worry about meals." "Fang Ping, I'm hungry, it's almost 1 o'clock, I need to eat." "Hee hee. Fang Ping, I'm so hungry, I can hardly walk." Fang Yuan rubbed her belly and began to play the victim. Fang Ping didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He reached out and pinched her chubby cheek, helplessly said, "Okay, let's go eat. I thought I was really using your pocket money. It turns out it's all for meals. I forgot about this, but you remember it clearly, you little devil. Do you always calculate your brother like this? The previous conditions are all void now." "No." Fang Yuan quickly shook her head, her face full of reluctance. After a while, she finally took out her 5 yuan bill from her pocket and said with lingering affection, "Here, you said you would buy me delicious food, clothes, computers, you have to keep your word." Despite all the teasing with Fang Ping, Fang Yuan actually had a great relationship with her brother. Fang Ping promised to buy her delicious food and beautiful clothes in the future. Although it is impossible now, the little girl still looks forward to Fang Ping doing it after graduating from college. For the future, Fang Yuan decided to contribute her total assets. After all, she had eaten Fang Ping's skewers worth 5 yuan in the morning. The little girl's calculation was brilliant, which made Fang Ping both amused and helpless. Not having some money on him, indeed made him feel insecure. Otherwise, why would he be arguing with this girl over a few yuan? After returning from lunch, Fang Ping was completely broke. If he didn't have to use that 10,000 yuan for tuition, he would still be a little rich man. Fortunately, the siblings had a 5 yuan fast food for lunch, which was just enough for 10 yuan. He didn't have the heart to use the 5 yuan from his little sister. She was already in junior high school, and she couldn't be left without any pocket money. Without money, the siblings didn't feel like going out in the afternoon. To put it bluntly, if Fang Ping didn't bring that 10,000 yuan out, he couldn't even go to a toll toilet if he was in a hurry on the road. Fang Yuan had homework to do. Knowing that her brother was broke, she didn't continue to pit him, and honestly went back to her room to do her homework, and Fang Ping also went into his room to plan for the future. Now, in Fang Ping's mind, there are only 2 major things. First, preparing for the martial arts exam, and second, making money. Improving family conditions is secondary. This matter doesn't need to be rushed for now. The key is that without money, he may not be able to pass the martial arts exam. Although he has that not-so-reliable system, Fang Ping feels that even if he doesn't get into a martial arts college, he can still become a martial artist in the future. But the question is being a martial artist just about having strong blood and energy? What about martial arts? How to exercise the body and break through the limit? Fang Ping knows nothing about these. Without professional training, who knows when he can learn these knowledge? The college entrance examination is obviously the fastest shortcut. For these, he naturally needs to do some planning. At around 3 in the afternoon, his mother, Li Yueying, came back and also bought vegetables for dinner. Although she works half a day, her actual working hours are close to 8 hours, which is not as easy as outsiders imagine. Fang Ping handed over the bank card, showed the 10,000 yuan, and Li Yueying didn't take it back. Let Fang Ping take it to register himself. Tomorrow, knowing that her son and daughter had no money, Li Yueying gave Fang Ping another 50 yuan for meals. Maybe she was worried that her daughter would be fooled by her son again. This time Li Yueying gave Fang Yuan 20 yuan separately. The little girl was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth when she got the money. Fang Ping really wanted to tell his mother, "It's not that I fooled that girl is cunning, she is trying to pit me." April 7th, Monday. Compared to the confusion of the day before yesterday, Fang Ping was much more at ease when he returned to school today. His desk mate, Chen Fan, arrived earlier than Fang Ping. When Fang Ping arrived, Chen Fan had already done half of the test paper in front of him. He didn't know if he came to do it in the morning, or he had done some in advance. Chen Fan didn't apply for the martial arts exam, so he naturally focused on liberal arts. If he can't get into a martial arts college, getting into a good liberal arts university is still more attractive than those ordinary liberal arts graduates. Seeing Fang Ping arrive, Chen Fan also put down his pen, looked up and said, "Fang Ping, have you finished the math paper that the teacher gave out the day before? Yesterday? Let's compare the answers." "Ha!" Fang Ping gave a dry laugh. Who knew if he had done it right? The paper was given out the day before yesterday, and he hadn't touched his school bag for the past 2 days. Who knew if he had done it before? Seeing this, Chen Fan probably guessed it and couldn't help frowning. "Fang Ping, there's not much time left for the college entrance examination. Although we don't have many classes now and mainly focus on review, doing a few more questions might just come up in the college entrance examination, right?" Yes, you're right, Chen Fan. "I've been a bit dizzy these days, I'll do it later." Chen Fan was a bit helpless, not because of Fang Ping's address. He had been calling him that for a long time now, that he just felt that Fang Ping was a bit self-indulgent. In this society, although martial artists are higher than ordinary people are also divided into classes: the rich, the poor, those with a little power, those who work for others, those who work in big companies, those who work in factories. All of these have completely different treatments. Our school is the best high school in Yang City. Fang Ping's grades in the senior class are not very outstanding, but not too bad either. If he works a little harder, he has hope to get into a key university. If he gets lucky again after the best students apply for the martial arts exam, he might even get into a famous university. But now if he gives up, let alone a famous university, even a key university is doubtful. Chen Fan and Fang Ping have been deskmates for 2 years, and he knows about Fang Ping's family situation, which is similar to his own. Fang Ping's family is even worse than his. After all, the expenses of 2 children are more than his family's. He wanted to say a few more words, but swallowed them when they reached his lips. After all, Fang Ping has only been a bit lazy these past few days. Just as they were talking, the future big-bearded Yang Jian from the front row turned around again, grinning and said, "Fang Ping, Chen Fan, have you seen the news?" Fang Ping rolled his eyes. Where did this big-bearded strong man get his gossip heart from? Chen Fan also didn't bother to respond. He had time to write a few more questions. Who had time to watch the news? Yang Jian didn't care about their responses. He chuckled and said, "There's news on the internet again. The martial arts duel between Master Ma and Time is set for the end of this month, and the location of the duel has also been leaked. It's in our China. Now many reporters have chased after it. Maybe there will be videos circulating at that time." Yang Jian spoke with great enthusiasm. A duel at the level of an 8th grade master is extremely rare even in the world. Maybe there were some in the past, but either they were too young to remember, or the other party fought in secret and others could only know the result, but not the process. This time is different. It may have something to do with the development of the internet. The news spread too fast, and with the help of the internet, they might be able to watch the battle through videos, after gossiping about Little Ma's duel. Yang Jian quickly shifted the topic to himself. "The martial arts exam registration starts today. My dad said, no matter how much it costs, register. Our Yang family is counting on me to pass the martial arts exam and become a martial artist. The pressure is so great. What if I can't pass the exam? What do you guys think?" Fang Ping laughed. "Are you showing off or showing off?" Yang Jian smiled foolishly and quickly shook his head. "No, I'm not showing off. The pressure is really great. You guys know my situation. There are 5 major barriers in the martial arts exam. It's good if I can pass 3, the others are too uncertain." Martial arts 5 major barriers? Originally, Fang Ping wasn't very interested in Yang Jian's topic, but at this moment, Fang Ping's eyes lit up. Though Fang Ping did some online research at the internet cafe the day before yesterday, due to time and financial constraints, he didn't manage to find everything he needed. For instance, he didn't find clear information about the martial arts college entrance exams. Without a smartphone or a computer at home, it's extremely difficult for Fang Ping to access information unless he visits an internet cafe. There are some questions he can't ask directly, as they would seem too basic to most people. It seems like I need to buy a computer, Fang Ping thought to himself, conveniently ignoring the fact that he would need money for that. Although he wasn't completely clear on everything, he knew that Yang Jian, who was determined to take the martial arts exams, would surely have more information. As soon as Yang Jian finished speaking, Fang Ping casually asked, "I remember that last year's martial arts exams weren't too difficult. With your qualifications, couldn't you pass all 4 stages, or has the policy changed this year?" His words were deliberately vague. After all, it's normal for the college entrance examination policy to change slightly each year, so Fang Ping wasn't worried about Yang Jian reading too much into his question. Perhaps he could even flatter Yang Jian a little and get more information out of him. As expected, Yang Jian didn't seem to mind Fang Ping's lack of knowledge. His smile grew broader. He was glad that Fang Ping was willing to talk about martial arts. He'd love to say more. Chen Fan, on the other hand, wasn't interested at all. Before Fang Ping arrived, Yang Jian felt like he was talking to deaf ears. Now that Fang Ping showed interest, Yang Jian's face lit up with a smile. You really overestimate me. No matter the year, the martial arts exams are always difficult. However, there have indeed been some policy changes this year. I'm not entirely sure how they'll conduct the exams this time. I guess we'll have to wait until Wang Shui comes the day after tomorrow to find out, but I did some research and asked my teacher about it in the past few days. There are definitely some differences from last year. Seeing Yang Jian stop there, Fang Ping knew that the future bearded man was just trying to keep him interested. But he didn't ask any more questions. Among these young people, Yang Jian was the biggest chatterbox. Even if Fang Ping didn't ask, once the conversation started, Yang Jian couldn't help but continue. As expected, when Fang Ping didn't continue to feed his ego, Yang Jian felt a little disappointed and had to carry on. Let's talk about the first stage, the political investigation. Fang Ping's eyebrows twitched slightly as he listened to Yang Jian continue. In the past, the political inspection involved checking whether the direct relatives of 3 generations had any criminal records. This year, the conditions have been relaxed. They only check 2 generations of blood relatives, including parents, siblings, etc., but this doesn't really affect us much, unless our grandparents have criminal records. The first checkpoint of the martial arts exams is the political inspection. It makes perfect sense. Martial artists are not ordinary people. Their destructive power is far greater. The government invests heavily in martial arts departments in universities every year. A lot of resources are spent to train martial artists, not for them to commit crimes. Although no one says that if the parents are bad, the children will definitely be bad. In a situation where there are conditions to choose people, it is naturally better to be stricter. You can't complain about it. Although the political inspection has been relaxed, it doesn't give us any advantage. On the contrary, it's a disadvantage because more people can apply for the exam, but the second stage has also changed, which is advantageous for us. Yang Jian said happily, the second stage is the physical examination for the martial arts exam. The key is not that the examination items have changed, but the age. In the past, the upper age limit was 22 years old, but this year the policy has changed, the upper limit has been changed to 20 years old. I'd like to see how those bastards continue to repeat their studies. It will piss them off. Martial artists are not necessarily better when they are younger. When they are young, their bodies and bones are not fully grown, and their mentality is also immature. Practicing martial arts at a young age can easily harm the body. It can also lead to some underage teenagers doing outrageous things because they have more power than ordinary people. This is the main reason why the country only establishes martial arts departments in universities. After years of ideological education, by the time they reach university, students generally mature. In addition, their bodies have grown, so it's actually more efficient to practice martial arts at this time. There won't be too many martial artists who have problems later on. In the past, some students who didn't get admitted chose to repeat the year and try again, which was very normal. With more experience than others and having taken the exam once, they would know their own weaknesses and could make up for them according to the actual situation. Every year, a portion of martial arts students are repeaters. In the past, the age limit was set at 22 years old, and some people even repeated several years. This year it was directly cut to 20 years old. Now, many repeaters' hopes are probably dashed. After all, high school seniors are usually 18 to 20 years old. Some people might exceed 20 years old if they repeat a year. Fang Ping doesn't have to worry about this. After all, he's only 18 years old. He could repeat 2 more years if necessary. After thinking about it, Fang Ping asked, so there's no reaction from the repeaters? Yang Jian said gleefully, how could there be no reaction? I heard that it was a mess a few days ago. But what's the use? Who told you not to get admitted in the first place? You're already in your early 20s. Even if you get admitted, you'll still be dragging your feet anyway. Protesting is useless. After all, there are still more fresh graduates taking the martial arts exams. Everyone would rather these people not be allowed to take the exam. There's no age limit for the liberal arts exam, so they can take that. Fang Ping understood and brought the topic back to, is there a big difference between the physical examination for the martial arts exam and the liberal arts exam? Yang Jian scratched his head a bit and couldn't help but glance at him. Chen Fan, who had been silent all this time, also said speechlessly, isn't that obvious, Fang Ping? Didn't you get confused? I've heard a lot about the physical examination for the martial arts exam. Do you think the 10,000 yuan registration fee is for nothing? The physical examination for the martial arts exam involves a deep level of examination, including whether the bones have been injured or deformed. Those with poor eyesight, bone injuries, and large external scars will not be admitted. Also, the most important thing is to check the qi and blood. If the qi and blood are insufficient and the body is weak, no matter how good the other conditions are, it's useless. Some people are naturally weak and can't be supplemented no matter what. They are destined to have nothing to do with martial arts for a lifetime. Usually, those who eat poorly at home generally don't meet the blood and chi standards, so the admission rate in big cities is higher than in our small cities. Small cities have a higher rate than towns and rural areas. The poorer the place, the fewer martial artists there are. After all, even if the difference between you and others is not big, there are quotas for martial arts every year. They will naturally choose the best batch. Fang Ping nodded. He thought about it and felt that he should be fine. After all, his chi and blood had just increased a lot, which should be stronger than ordinary people. If it were the old Fang Ping, it might not be possible. After all, everyone is an ordinary person, and you don't have any special features, but whether 1.1 chi and blood can meet the standard is not easy to say. It seems that before the physical examination, it's better to increase a little more. In addition, Fang Ping was slightly curious. According to Chen Fan's tone, there should be a professional chi and blood examination subject now, but in Fang Ping's memory, whether the chi and blood are sufficient is actually a saying in traditional Chinese medicine. Without professional machine inspection, it can only be determined through the traditional Chinese medicine diagnosis method of inspection, auscultation, and olfaction, and then the answer can be given. Under the large-scale inspection of the college entrance examination, it is unlikely to be judged by traditional Chinese medicine. It is more likely to have formed a complete set of procedures, including professional medical equipment. While Fang Ping was thinking about it, Yang Jian began to speak. Apart from these 2 points, the other changes are not too big. After passing the political inspection and the physical examination, a group of people are eliminated, and the remaining people participate in the third stage of actual testing. Then there are the 2 major difficulties of cultural courses and professional exams. Cough, cough, cough. Fang Ping seemed to remember seeing something about cultural courses on the internet the day before yesterday, but he didn't pay much attention to it at the time. Now he couldn't help but say, "What's so difficult about cultural courses? Don't you have any confidence in that?" According to Fang Ping's idea, this is similar to the art exam in his previous life. If the other conditions are met, the cultural course should be easy to pass. As long as you put in a little effort, 90% of the students in number 1 middle school should have no problem. But as soon as he said this, Yang Jian laughed bitterly. "Fang Ping, you might have a chance, but I'm in trouble." Last year, the minimum admission score for the martial arts exam was 10 points higher than the key liberal arts line. With my grades, I'm not sure I can pass the score line. Martial artists are both literate and martial. They are not simple brutes. It's normal for them to have higher scores than the key liberal arts line. Otherwise, if martial artists are all brutes, they won't have a chance to be in high positions. This was said by Chen Fan. He spoke very calmly and naturally, being proficient in both literature and martial arts. That's what a martial artist is. Martial artists are known as social elites. Can a simple brute govern a country or manage a company well? That's a fairy tale. In TV shows, any illiterate person who picks up a secret book can become a master. That's nonsense. A brute might achieve a little in martial arts, but he will never reach the top. If you give a secret book to you and you can't even recognize the words, how can you learn martial arts? Even if you recognize the words, if you don't understand the meaning, what martial arts are you going to learn? Without understanding the meaning of the art, there is a high probability that some obscure arts will not be understood even by university students in the previous life, just like a heavenly book. So martial artists also need to understand a lot of miscellaneous knowledge, for example, medicine, human body studies, including human skeletal diagrams, blood vessel maps. These must be clear in their hearts. This is just for high school students. When they get to university, those who study martial arts will add a lot of subjects compared to liberal arts, for example, mineralogy, nutrition. The professional examination that Yang Jian mentioned, in fact, tests all these miscellaneous knowledge while balancing cultural courses and physical fitness training. They also need to learn this knowledge. It can be said that students who can pass the martial arts examination, without exception, are real geniuses. Their academic performance must be higher than the key line for liberal arts. Their physical condition must be top-notch, and they must also dabble in other professional knowledge. That is not within the scope of cultural courses. After hearing about the 5 major challenges of martial arts, Fang Ping felt a bit overwhelmed for the first 3 challenges. With that somewhat unreliable system, Fang Ping felt that he should have no problem, and there was a way to overcome it. But this is the martial arts examination. They clearly said that they would assess physical fitness, but they also have to examine cultural courses, and even higher than the key line. Well, that's fine. Fang Ping has read the textbooks, and the gap with his previous life is not too big. Just the history textbook is a bit different, with some martial arts elements added. But what about the professional examination? Fang Ping has never dabbled in this knowledge. Now the college entrance examination is not far away. Can he really balance it all? Oh my god, Fang Ping was full of grievances. Should he just give up and be a salted fish? No matter how deep the resentment, life must go on. Fang Ping could only passively accept everything. After a while of idle chatter, the class teacher, whose hair had already turned white, strolled into the classroom. When the classroom quieted down, the old class teacher went straight to the point. "Those who are signing up for the martial arts exam, come to my office after class to pay and register." Fill in the registration form, the school's academic affairs office will help you all to register. When he said this, the class teacher mainly looked at those students who were preparing to sign up. In fact, the martial arts exam was not elusive. As the class teacher, he had a general idea of which students in the class would sign up. The requirements were high grades, good health, and decent family background. After several rounds of selection, the students in the senior third class who would sign up were pretty much known. Yang City is located inland. Although it is officially called Yang City, it is actually a county-level city. Compared to other counties, Yang City's economy is better, but the development is limited. It's not a coastal county-level city, some of which are even more developed than inland prefecture-level cities. In Yang City, people who do not care about 10,000 yuan are rare. Therefore, the simple registration fee has kept many people out. After saying these words, the class teacher left the classroom and those students who were preparing to sign up also got up one after another, ready to go to the office. Fang Ping's classmate in front of him, Yang Jian, also stood up, next to his desk. The student named Zhang Hao, who had revealed that Little Ma had broken through to the 8th level 2 days ago, also stood up. Just as the two were about to step out, Fang Ping stood up leisurely. His desk mate, Chen Fan, was a little stunned and turned his head to ask, "Going to the restroom? Going to sign up?" Chen Fan was stunned. Fang Ping was going to sign up. Not only Chen Fan, but Yang Jian also couldn't help but look back at Fang Ping, surprised. "Fang Ping, are you also signing up?" His words were not necessarily malicious, but he was indeed surprised by what Fang Ping said, and his voice was not small. As soon as he said this, many classmates looked over. Having been classmates for a few years, they roughly knew the situation of other students in the class. It's not that Fang Ping can't sign up, but Fang Ping's small body. In fact, Fang Ping is still stronger than Chen Fan. But compared to Yang Jian in front of him, there is no comparison. He might be okay with the cultural and professional exams, but can Fang Ping pass the physical examination and practical test? As soon as Yang Jian finished expressing his surprise, Zhang Hao on the side also exclaimed, "Fang Ping, you're really something, you're so cunning, you never join us after school to exercise, you must have been working extra hard at home, you're too cunning." Zhang Hao, who said this, was exaggerated, but his tone was not sarcastic. He just thought Fang Ping was really hiding his cards. Without some confidence, would Fang Ping's family be willing to waste this 1,000 yuan registration fee? Fang Ping didn't mind. He laughed and said, "Don't think too much, I am naturally gifted. Do I need extra practice? I've thought about it. Isn't it just 10,000 yuan? If I don't try, who knows if I can get in? Maybe there will be a sudden expansion this year. Then I would make a big profit." "Ha ha ha, you wish." Zhang Hao laughed loudly, but Fang Ping's words did stir up some thoughts among the other students who had not planned to sign up. Fang Ping's words seemed to make sense. Who knows if there will be an expansion this year? In the past few years, only 2 or 3 people from the high school were admitted to the martial arts school every year, but last year 5 people were admitted. This year, maybe there will be even more. While they were thinking, those who hadn't planned to sign up naturally had their reasons. Fang Ping's words just caused some ripples, but didn't change anyone's decision. The look in the eyes of Chen Fan, Fang Ping's desk mate, was a bit complicated. Although signing up doesn't mean getting admitted, but Fang Ping's family was even worse off than his, and even Fang Ping dared to try, but he didn't have this idea at all. When compared, it seemed that he didn't even have the courage to try. His hand holding the pen tightened a bit, but in the end, Chen Fan didn't change his decision. Even if he signed up, his chances of getting admitted were even slimmer than Fang Ping's. Instead of wasting time on this, it would be better to work harder on liberal arts. Fang Ping naturally didn't have the mood to pay attention to the thoughts of the other people in the class. He left the classroom with the other students who were preparing to sign up, and they all headed to the class teacher's office upstairs. In the senior 3 class, there were not many students preparing to sign up. After all, the probability was too small, and some students who clearly didn't meet the hard criteria naturally wouldn't sign up. In the end, only 8 people left the classroom together. Even this was a high percentage of sign-ups in regular classes in recent years. If it weren't for the 2 students who were admitted to the martial arts school from regular classes last year as examples, it would be good if there were 4 or 5 in regular classes. Some regular high schools have only a few students signing up in the whole school. Fang Ping glanced at the students who were walking with him, and sure enough, they were all the top guys in the class. Not only were their academic performances outstanding, but more importantly, their bodies were good, all of them. Well proportioned. Even Yang Jian, who had a big beard, may not have outstanding grades, but he was not bad either, otherwise he would not have signed up. Among them were 2 girls. Although they weren't too stunning, their figures seemed quite good, compared to those bean sprouts in the class who haven't fully developed yet. These 2 girls had eaten well and exercised well in order to prepare for the martial arts exam, and they were curvy. Yang Jian and Zhang Hao next to Fang Ping couldn't help but sweep their eyes over the 2 girls. Apart from Fang Ping, the others were quite familiar with each other. The martial arts exam was not something that could be prepared for overnight. When they had time in the evening, they would exercise together. A few of them even signed up for a martial arts tutoring class outside of school. Fang Ping was the one who suddenly popped up. This time, everyone was not interested in other people, but rather interested in Fang Ping. One of the 2 girls that Yang Jian was coveting kept glancing at Fang Ping from time to time. After walking for a while, she couldn't help but ask, Fang Ping, how much is your vitality? Ha! Fang Ping was somewhat at a loss for words. Could he say that his vitality was 1.1? The key point was, he didn't know how it was calculated in reality, or what was the unit of measurement. Luckily, before Fang Ping could answer, Yang Jian interjected with a laugh, Zhang Nan, I don't think Fang Ping has ever gotten a checkup. If he had, he would have told us by now. Zhang Hao also chimed in, he probably hasn't had a checkup, but judging by his small frame, he certainly can't be higher than me. Cut it out, will you? Zhang Nan was just asking casually, since Fang Ping didn't answer, whether he didn't get a checkup or didn't want to say. She didn't bother to ask further. After a disdainful glance at Zhang Hao, Zhang Nan shook her head as she walked. Looks like our class is destined to play second fiddle again. I checked again the day before yesterday, my vitality fluctuation peaked at 108 Ka. Sigh, before the physical examination, I can only try to eat more tonic to see if I can increase it. After Zhang Nan finished speaking, Yang Jian grinned and said, I'm a bit better than you. The last time I checked, my peak was 112 Ka. Ka was obviously the unit of vitality measurement, and it seemed that the higher the better. Fang Ping, who had never been checked, wasn't afraid to show his ignorance at this point and asked, who in our class has the highest vitality? A sunny young man walking at the front of the group turned around and laughed. According to the last results, I should be the highest, peaking at 115 Ka. Fang Ping actually knew this person. Although the world had changed somewhat, the person was still the same. The speaker was the one with the best academic performance in the class. Of course, whether he still was now, Fang Ping wasn't sure. However, this guy wasn't the class monitor. In fact, none of the people present were any kind of student leaders, because no one had time to waste or serve others. What was his name? Fang Ping recalled, he should be called Wu Zhihao. Wu Zhihao spoke, then shook his head, although my vitality is okay, the key guys in the elite class are much higher. The highest, Zhou Bin, I heard from his classmates that his peak value is over 120 Ka.as for our school. It's hard to say about others, but Zhou Bin has a 99% chance of getting in, as long as nothing unexpected happens. Haha, Zhihao, why don't you hire someone to break his leg, so we have one less competitor? Zhang Hao joked with a laugh. Wu Zhihao rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, it's not our school's selection, even if Zhou Bin doesn't get in, it has nothing to do with us. Otherwise, I really would consider it. Zhang Hao chuckled and said casually, anyway, just give it a try, maybe you'll get in. Last year, the enrollment standard for Nanjiang Martial Arts University was 112 Ka. Even if it's higher this year, it won't be much higher. Anyway, I think you should be fine. Wu Zhihao shook his head again, it's tough. The standard has been rising every year for the past few years. I think this year it has to be at least 115 Ka. Plus, it's not enough just to meet the vitality standard. What about the others? The key is not to look at this, but to look at other people. If other people are low and we are high, then we have a chance. But if other people are high, no matter how well we do, we can't get in. These enrollment standards were like liberal arts exams, not fixed. The number of spots for martial arts students was set. Perhaps your performance this year, according to last year's standards, would allow you to get into the martial arts program. But if everyone else is strong this year, then you're still out. Or maybe you didn't do well this year, but everyone else did poorly, so even if you're not as good as last year's batch, you can still get in. But in this era, everyone's living standards are getting better and better, and the standards are rising almost every year. The probability of a decrease is too low. According to Wu Zhihao, including Fang Ping, a total of 8 people in the class had signed up, and only 3 of them had a vitality over 110 Ka. Wu Zhihao, Yang Jian, and the quiet girl Lu Ruoqi, the others, including Zhang Hao, did not reach 110 Ka. However, Zhang Hao was not far from 110 Ka. Before the exam, he could eat more vitality supplements and there was still hope. This is not considered cheating. In this era, the real vitality supplements are very expensive. Those who can afford it usually come from good families, and martial artists also need financial support. The difference between having money and not having money at home can greatly affect the future support for a martial artist. Wealth determines the future, although it's not an absolute fact. It is generally the case. So even if Zhang Hao hasn't reached 110 Ka now, he dares to sign up because his family has already prepared supplements for him. The reason he hasn't eaten them yet is mainly for fear that some of the medicinal effects would be lost after digestion, and he wouldn't be able to meet the standard. But if he eats them before the physical examination, although he won't be able to digest them all at once, it's a good thing for those who want to get started, as it can bring out more medicinal effects. Zhang Hao didn't mention this, but in fact, everyone else had similar preparations. Of course, there were exceptions, such as Fang Ping. His sudden decision to apply for the martial arts program caught his parents off guard. In fact, without Fang Ping's knowledge, his father, Fang Mingrong, was already considering whether to buy some vitality supplements for his son. Unfortunately, these supplements were too expensive, starting at tens of thousands of yuan. Old Fang hadn't made up his mind yet. Listening to everyone's conversation, Fang Ping was thinking to himself, can my 1.1 vitality be converted into 110 Ka? The possibility was quite high, however, even if it was 110 Ka, it seemed that there was no advantage. After all, Wu Zhihao from the regular class already had 115 Ka, and there should be quite a few people from the elite class who had over 110 Ka. Last year, the lowest enrollment standard for Nanjiang Martial Arts University was 112 Ka, but it's hard to say what it will be this year. It seems I still need to work on this. I need to pass the first 3 tests at least, then I'll have time to think about what comes next. While Fang Ping was thinking, the group had arrived at the office door. Inside the office, paying, registering, filling out the application form, the process was quite simple. When no one else was paying attention, Fang Ping conducted another experiment, subtly touching the registration fees paid by other students. The result was as he expected. His fortune value did not increase as he had anticipated this, so he wasn't disappointed. There weren't many people, so the registration process ended quickly. The class teacher collected the students' application forms together and scanned the 8 people in front of him. They were the hope of Class 4 in the martial arts examination this year. Everyone else, the class teacher knew more or less beforehand. The only exception was Fang Ping. As Fang Ping's class teacher, Lu Anghua was also aware of the situation of Fang Ping's family, but every year at this time, there were many students who wanted to try their luck, so it was unexpected but understandable. Withdrawing his thoughts, Lu Anghua began to speak. The day after tomorrow, which is the 9th, Wang Jinyang from Nanjiang Martial Arts University will come back to school to give a pre-exam explanation for everyone. You should all know that. Remember to attend. Everyone nodded quickly. Having a senior to share his experience would be helpful. At that time, the school will issue a specific timetable for the martial arts assessment, as well as various precautions, so read them carefully. Although Lu Anghua was their class teacher, he mainly taught liberal arts knowledge to the class. He only briefly mentioned the martial arts. However, the school had martial arts training classes, and there were also martial arts tutoring classes outside, which were the focus of martial arts students. Others had taken classes more or less, or simply hired a martial arts tutor. Among everyone, Lu Anghua scanned around. Probably only Fang Ping hadn't. There was no need to ask about this. If he had really gone, Fang Ping wouldn't have said it, and his father wouldn't have mentioned it at the parent-teacher conference. With a slight sigh in his heart, Lu Anghua suddenly stood up and squatted down to open the cabinet of his desk. After a while, Lu Anghua stood up, holding a stack of thick books in his hands, and said to Fang Ping, "Take a look and see if there's anything you need. The other students have attended the school's martial arts training classes. They all have these materials. You can take whatever you lack to read." Fang Ping was a little surprised, but indeed, this was what he needed now. He quickly said, "Thank you, teacher." Lu Anghua didn't make a big deal out of it. Although these materials were not cheap, even if they were bought outside, they would cost several hundred. But for students from poor families, he didn't mind helping a little. Seeing that Fang Ping readily accepted and happily held all the materials and books in his arms, Lu Anghua was a little amused. Judging from this situation, this kid probably really wasn't prepared at all. Otherwise, there would be no need to take some of the more popular books. Although he didn't have high hopes for Fang Ping, Lu Anghua, as the class teacher, hesitated for a moment and then turned to Wu Zhihao and said, "Fang Ping is not as familiar with the martial arts exam as you are, and he doesn't have much grasp of the professional exam knowledge. These books, it would be difficult to read them all now. Wu Zhihao, do you think you could photocopy your professional exam notes for Fang Ping?" Compared to books, the notes recorded by these students preparing for the martial arts exam are more effective. The focus of the exam, summary, and so on, are all summarized by the students themselves. Wu Zhihao is the best student in Class 4, and he has the greatest hope of being admitted to the martial arts exam. Borrowing his notes for review can save a lot of time and energy. However, the notes are personal property, and even the class teacher has no right to demand them, so he can only negotiate. Originally, Fang Ping was already grateful for the teacher giving him books. He didn't expect the teacher would actually ask Wu Zhihao to photocopy notes for him. In his previous life, his class teacher was also a good teacher, but Fang Ping's performance was mediocre, and he didn't have much contact with the teacher, so he didn't expect that the class teacher would be more responsible than he thought. Fang Ping was not prepared well, but it was not his teacher's responsibility. Giving books was already an extra favor, and now he was even actively asking for notes. Before Wu Zhihao could speak, Fang Ping hurriedly said, "Teacher Lu, it's not necessary." Before he finished speaking, Wu Zhihao next to him laughed and said, "It's okay, I'll photocopy a copy of mine. It's not a big deal. To be realistic, whether it can be used is a problem." Wu Zhihao was not afraid to hit Fang Ping. In fact, everyone knew clearly, even Wu Zhihao himself might not have the hope of entering the 4th round, the professional exam. Since the class teacher had spoken, Wu Zhihao didn't want to refute the face of the class teacher. When Wu Zhihao said this, Fang Ping no longer insisted and quickly thanked him. Indeed, looking at the pile of books and materials in his hand, Fang Ping was also overwhelmed. Being able to borrow Wu Zhihao's notes, he could know what the focus of the exam was, and he Wouldn't be in a fog and have to read them all. After talking about these things, the registration was over. Lu Onghua let everyone go back to the classroom, and he continued to correct the papers. After leaving the office, Wu Zhihao took the initiative to say to Fang Ping, "Some of my notes are at home. If you are in a hurry, you can go with me to get them tonight. If not, I will bring them tomorrow." Having already accepted the favor of others, Fang Ping didn't have the heart to let the other party bring them, and quickly said, "I'll go get them, thank you so much this time." "Don't mention it, we are classmates." Wu Zhihao didn't have much arrogance, and laughed, "We are in a regular class, the chance of being admitted to the martial arts exam is too small, we are not competitors, but let me tell you the truth, don't mind at least, before the physical examination, you don't have to look at these materials to avoid wasting time after the physical examination, you can spend more time on this." Although the professional exam for martial arts has a lot of projects and content, it is different from liberal arts. The content of the exam is basically the same every year. Actually, for us martial arts students, the hardest part is not the professional exam and liberal arts, but the physical examination and practical test. These things are almost hard requirements, and they are also the 2 rounds with the highest elimination rate. As soon as Wu Zhihao finished speaking, Yang Jian beside him complained, "Is it? Why do I feel that the professional exam and liberal arts are difficult?" Wu Zhihao didn't bother to deal with him, everyone had their own opinions. Fang Ping nodded again. He was a newbie now, so it was right to listen to the experiences of these people more. After thinking about it, Fang Ping asked, "Where should I go for the blood and chi check?" As a sudden martial arts exam student, Fang Ping didn't think there was any problem with his ignorance, the others weren't surprised either. Yang Jian immediately said, "The chi and blood meter for checking chi and blood, only the First People's Hospital in Yangqing has it. This thing is too expensive, our Yangqing is not big after all, and not many people use it, so there is no choice." After Yang Jian finished speaking, Zhang Hao also immediately reminded, "Fang Ping, if I were you, I wouldn't go for the check. I'm not trying to discourage you, but you won't be able to make up for your chi and blood in time anyway, this thing is very expensive to check, 5,000 yuan a time, no bargaining, the time for the physical examination is not far away, so it's better to wait and see at the time of the physical examination, 5,000? Fang Ping was shocked, this is robbery, but it's a monopoly, and for students preparing for the martial arts exam, knowing their own situation in advance is a must, so they don't have to worry about customers. Originally, Fang Ping still wanted to understand his situation, but now he had to give up this idea. Probably knowing Fang Ping's thoughts, Wu Zhihao suddenly laughed and said, "The chi and blood meter in the hospital is a large-scale one, which can accurately detect the fluctuation of chi and blood, as well as the peak value of chi and blood, but you should be checking for the first time, so there is no need to make it so clear. Aren't you going to my place to pick up the notes tonight? I have a small chi and blood meter at home, but the error is a bit large, fluctuating up and down 5 cards, you can try it." "I go, Zhihao, your family even bought this?" As soon as Wu Zhihao's words fell, the others were somewhat surprised. Although the small chi and blood meter is not as expensive as the large one, the larger the error, the cheaper it is, and this 5-card error is considered large. But even so, this specific instrument is still very expensive. At least in their eyes, it is considered a staggering fortune. Like Wu Zhihao's home, the cheapest one costs at least hundreds of thousands. Wu Zhihao didn't care and laughed, "It's second-hand, it's not worth much money, and I often have to check. Going to the hospital is also expensive and time-consuming, so my dad got me a second-hand one, just to check roughly." This is indeed true. For people like them, what they want is precision. An error of several cards up and down, this is too inaccurate. If these people present were to go to Wu Zhihao's home for a check, it is likely that everyone's data would be the same. What's more, when the final result comes out, it would be normal for Yang Jian to be higher than Wu Zhihao. If you really prepare according to this data, then wait to be eliminated. But what's useless to others is very useful to Fang Ping. Now Fang Ping mainly wants to see his 1.1 chi and blood can be converted into how many cards in reality. A general range is enough. Hearing Wu Zhihao say this, Fang Ping quickly smiled and said, "Then I'll trouble you, I don't know how to thank you, but when I pass the exam, I will definitely treat you to a big meal." Ha ha ha, Zhang Hao suddenly laughed and teased, "Fang Ping, I'm afraid Wu Zhihao can't wait for this meal. Go away." Fang Ping confidently said, "I will definitely pass the exam, there is absolutely no doubt about this." Ha ha ha, the crowd broke into laughter once again. It wasn't mockery, but more of an amusement at Fang Ping's confidence. Among the 8 people present, even Wu Zhihao probably wouldn't dare to claim that he would definitely pass the exam. After the laughter subsided, Zhang Hao turned to Wu Zhihao and said, "Zhihao, Fang Ping is coming to your place for a checkup tonight. Remember to tell us the results tomorrow. Although it might not be entirely accurate, testing a few more times should give us a rough idea." The crowd was indeed curious about Fang Ping's vitality value, purely out of curiosity, just like how you would be curious about how much your classmates scored in an exam.